It's spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian here, also known as Psychic Cynthia. And welcome. Welcome to this quick little video, this psychic insight for you on your spiritual psychic awakening journey. And today I want to share with you just one quick tip about probably the most important thing that you can do to help coax and awaken your own inner psychic. What you can do to make sure those pipelines of communication stay open. Because I know that most of you watching this are naturally psychic. And perhaps you've had some psychic experiences already. I know that you have if you're watching this. So what's the secret? The secret is when something happens to you that you think even might be psychic. Let's say that you have a deja vu or a precognition about the future. You know who's going to call before you look at the caller ID, for example, or who's texting you. Or maybe you feel spirits, feel or see spirits. Maybe you have psychic dreams. Whatever is happening, okay, whenever there is an occurrence that even might be of a psychic nature, dear one, here is my tip for you of how you can go deeper with all of this, of how you can keep the pipelines of communication open. What you want to do when that happens, anything such as I've described, any might be a psychic occurrence. When that happens, just relax. Relax and let it unfold. And whatever you do, do not, let me emphasize, do not go into a fear state. This energy of fear is one of the main blocks to psychic receptivity. I would say it was a belief system, and it's true, we can have beliefs of fear, but really it's more like we have beliefs that lead to the energy of fear. To me, fear is an emotion. It's actually one of the primary emotions. It's the fight or flight instinct, right? So it's not so much a belief as just something that happens. I mean, I get it. If you haven't been schooled in, the mechanics of the psychic world, and, nobody ever taught you growing up about spirits, for example. And let's say you see a spirit or you sense a spirit and you get freaked out. I get it. But if you really want to be more at ease with your psychic self and open your psychic potential, the first thing that you need to do is to get up out of that fear, okay, and learn to relax. And how do you do that? I mean, that is something that you will learn by doing. But what helps me, what has always helped me, is instead of fear, or if I find myself going into fear, I don't very often, I will share with you, just because I've been on this path so long. But, even now, I can still see something or sense something that I'm not familiar with. And I think that's how it happens. I mean, that's why we become afraid, because, we're faced with something we're not familiar with or we don't understand. So how do you approach things that you're not familiar with or you don't understand in life? Think about that for a minute, right? Do you naturally approach the unknown with fear? I mean, if so, that's not very shocking, because that's sort of a human instinct. But there are other ways you could approach something that was unknown. For example, you could approach it like I do now, I try to at least, with curiosity. If I see something psychically, or really on any level, but especially psychically, if I have an experience that I don't understand, I simply say to myself, isn't that interesting? Or, I wonder what that's all about. So those statements right there, isn't that interesting? And I wonder what that's all about. These reflect the energy of curiosity, of openness. It's sort of a detachment. It's almost scientific, the way I look at it. Not to say that we're trying to be scientists about this, but just in the sense that if you were a scientist doing an experiment, you would just be watching and observing, maybe, right? So when something happens to you that you don't understand, that comes from the psychic realm, try this. Try to approach it with a spirit of inquiry, a spirit of openness, a spirit of curiosity, of wonder and awe instead of fear, okay? Because fear will shut the doors down from any really clear experience. And people come to me all the time and they're freaking out because they had a vision or this happened and they say my third eye is freaking out. And, one of the first things I say to them is, let's just calm down. Let's take a beat here, right? Let's step back. And stepping out of the fear is so powerful, dear one, and it will open so many more clear, coherent doorways of psychic communication for you. So very important. And by the way, this is true even if you encounter something that is dark, okay? Don't think I've never encountered something like that. I have. And, if you see something scary, first of all, don't assume just because you're afraid of it that it's dark. Because most people I know are afraid of anything they don't understand, which, that's not a basis for whether it's dark or not. So, but if it is something you think you see that you don't like, if you look at a person, I've had this experience of looking at people and seeing a truly dark energy around them. Even then, I still say to myself, isn't that interesting? I don't let myself go into fear, especially in situations where I might be encountering a dark energy. And why is that? Because, hey, get your head in the game. If you really are encountering a quote unquote dark spirit, which most of the time it's not, when people think it is, most of the time it's not, but they do exist. If you're really encountering something quote unquote dark, what do you think it feeds on? One of the primary emotions that all dark spirits feed on is your fear. So get your head in the game, get your heart in the game, be courageous. If you need to, ask your angels and guides to help calm you down, to help you be at ease with what you're experiencing so that you can reflect and observe the data that is coming in. Everything that you encounter on the psychic realm, everything that you see, you hear, you perceive, you feel, it's all data. And that's all it is until you start to make sense of it. So don't start off getting all uptight and all bent out of shape. Relax. Relax about it. Sit back, observe, contemplate, take a beat. And of course, the most important thing of all, I think, with all of this, as I always teach in my work, is to remember to breathe when you're in that moment. Deep breaths. And if you do that, if you'll slow down and breathe, you'll find the fear dissipating. So anyway, that's one of my number one top tips. And if you'll start practicing that when you have your psychic encounters and, start just calming the heck down, you don't have to get all worked up about the psychic world. It's perfectly natural. It's perfectly normal. And even though you may not have been taught that, it doesn't mean it's not true. So these things that happen, they're all part of the natural reality. And the more you just recognize that and be at ease and actually be a little bit more rational. That may seem strange for a psychic to be saying that. I don't mean rational like you're going to rationalize. I mean rational as in you're calm and you're observant. And if you'll do that, you'll really be able to keep the pathways of psychic communication open, stronger in a more coherent way for yourself. So try it and see, and feel free to comment below how this has helped you and how you've put it into practice. Especially, I'd like to hear more about that. Until then, Bright blessings and love to you all.